He signed those papers with a smile on his face. He even laughed. What happened next, he never saw coming. Daniel had always believed he was the most important person in any room. Tall, well-dressed, confident, the kind of man who walks in and expects everyone to move. He ran a successful real estate firm, drove a black Range Rover, and had a beautiful wife named Sophia who, in his words, should be grateful every single day. But today we are going to talk about what happens when a man like Daniel mistakes silence for weakness, and what happens when the quiet one finally speaks. Sophia was 26 when she married Daniel. She was soft-spoken, elegant, and never once tried to outshine him in public. She cooked. She supported. She smiled at his business dinners even when he talked over her. She never corrected him in front of others. She never complained when he came home late. She just stayed, and Daniel took that as a sign that she needed him. What he did not know, what he never bothered to find out, was that Sophia came from one of the wealthiest families in the country. Her grandfather had built a business empire decades ago. Manufacturing, real estate, shipping. The family's combined net worth was estimated at over $4 billion. And Sophia, being the only grandchild who stayed close to her grandfather in his final years, was named the primary heir in his will. She never told Daniel, not because she was hiding it in a bad way, but because she wanted to be loved for who she was, not what she was worth. So she kept it quiet. She lived simply. She drove a normal car. She wore simple jewelry. And Daniel, who never asked real questions because he was always too busy talking, had no idea. For 3 years, the marriage was fine. Not great, just fine. Daniel provided money, which he reminded Sophia of often. He made decisions for both of them without asking. He booked vacations she did not want to go on. He declined dinner invitations with her friends without telling her. Small things, but they added up. Then came the night everything broke. Daniel came home from a business trip to find Sophia on the phone, speaking quietly. He caught only pieces of the conversation. Something about a board meeting. Something about approving a transfer of funds. Something about the property in London. He walked in. She finished the call, smiled at him, and said nothing. He asked who she was talking to. She said a family friend. He let it go. But something sat wrong with him. Not out of love or concern, out of ego. He did not like not knowing something. So he started digging. He asked around. He asked his own assistant, who had a cousin who worked in finance, to quietly look into Sophia's background. What came back shocked him. Her family name was connected to 3 major companies listed on the stock exchange. Her grandfather's estate, which had gone through probate the previous year, had been transferred almost entirely to one beneficiary. And that beneficiary's name matched Sophia's full legal name. You would think that a man who just found out his wife was a billionaire, heiress, would feel something. Surprise, maybe even admiration. Instead, Daniel felt angry. He felt embarrassed. He felt like she had made a fool of him by not telling him. He confronted her that night. "Why didn't you tell me?" he said, his voice sharp. Sophia was calm. "You never asked about my life before you," she said. "You only ever talked about yours." That was the truth. And Daniel knew it. And because he knew it, it made him even angrier. The argument that followed lasted hours. He said things he could not take back. He called her dishonest. He said she had been playing games with him. He told her she had no respect for their marriage. He said she thought she was better than him. She did not cry. She just listened. And at the end of it, she said very quietly, "I think we should get a divorce." Daniel agreed, loudly. He told his friend she had been hiding things from him. He painted himself as the victim. He spoke about her coldly at dinner parties. He even laughed about it, told people she thought her family money made her special. What Daniel did not realize was that Sophia had already spoken to lawyers, not to take anything from him. She wanted nothing from his accounts, nothing from the business, nothing from their shared apartment, which, by the way, she had quietly paid for with her own money through a family holding company. Daniel had never noticed because he never looked at the paperwork. The divorce hearing was scheduled on a Tuesday morning. Daniel walked in with his lawyer, relaxed, smiling, cracking a joke in the hallway. Sophia walked in with a team of 4 attorneys, calm and straight-faced. He looked at her team and laughed under his breath. He leaned over to his own lawyer and whispered something. His lawyer smiled nervously. The session began. When the judge began reviewing the asset declarations, something changed in the room. The properties listed under Sophia's name were not 1 or 2. They were 19. Residential buildings, commercial spaces, land parcels across 4 countries. Her declared net worth, after inheritance and existing investments, came to just under $3.2 billion. Daniel's lawyer stopped writing. Daniel stopped smiling. The judge reviewed the documents quietly. Then she looked up and asked Sophia's legal team if their client had any claims against the respondent's assets. Sophia's lead attorney said, clearly and calmly, "No, Your Honor, my client is asking for nothing." She only asks that the marriage be dissolved. Daniel sat there in silence. He had walked into that room expecting to be the powerful one. He had expected Sophia to beg or negotiate or at least need something from him. Instead, she sat there with $3 billion worth of assets and wanted nothing from him except to be free. The papers were signed. Daniel signed his side with a pen that kept running out of ink. He had to ask for another. He looked up once at Sophia. She was already looking at her phone. He laughed, a short, awkward, broken laugh. Nobody in the room laughed back. There is a study from the University of California that found people who underestimate others, especially in close relationships, tend to do it because of a psychological habit called confirmation bias. They see what they expect to see and ignore everything else. Daniel had decided who Sophia was on day one, and he never updated that picture. Sophia did not need to say a single dramatic word. She did not need a speech or a big moment. Her silence over the years was not weakness. It was patience. And when the time came, she let the facts do all the talking. The last thing Daniel said to her on the steps of the courthouse was, "You should have just told me." She looked at him for a moment. Then she said, "You should have asked." She got into a car that was waiting for her. He stood on the steps and watched it drive away. He had laughed at the beginning of that morning. By the end of it, he had nothing to say. Some people spend their whole lives mistaking someone's kindness for weakness. They see patience and think it is fear. They see silence and think it is submission. But sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one holding everything. Sophia never needed Daniel to know her worth. She always knew it herself. And that, more than the billions, is what made her untouchable. Watch the next video on screen right now. It's exactly like this one.